recording, yes.
While he's doing that, if anybody hasn't been here before, the restrooms are right down this hall. Definitely. That's where the board meeting is.
Let's see if the stream is making it to YouTube. Sounds like it. Alrighty, I think we're ready to start. And our stream is live. All right, there it is. This is going to be clippity clippity. All right. All right, welcome all. Do we have any guests today? Some guests? Hi, Karen. Yep. Guest of a member. Some faces we haven't seen in a while. Pretty much all our boilerplate. So right now we are also streaming live on YouTube, so that you can, from our website, you can go to the YouTube live stream. So if you can't make it to a meeting, the live stream is there for you. And we have recordings of the previous meetings available as well. It's an all year round. And we have a link to Amazon on the page that takes you to our Smile page for a charity donation, and also includes our referral link so that any purchase you make through Amazon is credited. Credit? That's not the right word. We get a credit back to from Amazon. Referral fee, that's what I'm looking for. And with the smile.amazon.com, you can define a charity, and the charity gets a different donation through the charity service. So they have a charity service and a referral service. This does also, you try to log in. This is where you can buy CIDER logoed hats and t-shirts and mouse pads and things. The passwords were apparently made public or weren't hashed properly. So we've talked about this in the past as the Have I Been Pwned website, where you can put in your email address and see if your address has been lost in any of the breaches. And in some of the breaches, sometimes the bad guys will breach each other. In some of the breaches, the passwords aren't stored securely, so the bad guys have your passwords. And so this is why we keep saying never use the same password on different sites, because when one password gets breached, they have it for other passwords. So say in the Cafe Press breach, you use that same password you do at Amazon or at PayPal or at, your bank. The bad guys have that password from Cafe Press. And they will then try all the major banks, Amazon, PayPal, with that same password in order to try to get into your stuff. It's almost gotten to be anticlimactic. There are so many breaches so often that it's almost becoming no big deal. Yeah, there was another breach. Yeah, another 100 million accounts were lost. Yeah, and we're slowly trying to add penalties. The big Equifax breach, where 250, 300 million accounts were lost, and that was especially bad because Equifax is supposed to be protecting our credit information, and then everything used to steal your identity and sign up for credit cards in your name were lost by Equifax, and there was no punishment for Equifax. They just have to report it, but there's no penalties. There are civil lawsuits against them, but they're going to be hard to what's the word I want? Well, yeah, because you have to prove damages in a lawsuit. You can't prove that someone stole your identity specifically because of the Equifax breach, so that's going to be hard to prove. One of the Equifax executives did get just sentenced to jail time for insider trading. So his crime wasn't that Equifax got breached and lost all the information. It's that he short sold his stock before it was made public and made $100 million in the stock market. So that was his crime, is short selling, not that there was a problem. There's a fine based on what you made by short selling. So he's got to pay that back, all that 100 million or whatever it was back, plus then there's a fine for doing it in the first place. But the problem is that for all these breaches, there's virtually no penalties, and so there's no incentive for companies to harden their security. Even with such horrible consequences of your credit reporting agency getting breached, it's cheaper for them to apologize after the fact than it is to try to shore up their security in the first place. There's actually been a huge surge in municipalities getting hit with ransomware. See if I spelled it right. That there were, I think, four cities in Florida and 3 in Georgia recently were all hit with ransomware, and they think it was a phishing attack through email. So the teachers are coming back after vacation, getting ready for the new school year, and opened a malicious email and clicked on a link and then infected the school system, and are holding it for ransom. And we're seeing more and more of these municipalities are paying the ransoms because they have ransom insurance now. So companies are selling ransomware insurance. So some of the bigger targets in Florida, there were $500,000 or $600,000 ransom payments, and they only have a $100,000 deductible, so they're paying it. We're expecting to see and that's where the money is. Baltimore was hit for weeks, and one of the sort of side effects, Baltimore and I think Atlanta was the other one, they are spending tens of millions of dollars to recover from the ransomware, instead of paying the $300,000 or $400,000 fine or ransom to begin with. It might even say this in this article. But as the police always say, don't pay the ransom because then you're incenting more ransomware. But when it's your data, suddenly it becomes a lot more important. So we want to say make sure you have a backup, make sure you have an offline backup. Sharing your Mac with a Windows user, then that Windows user, most of the ransomware will attack network drives. So one computer gets infected, it looks on the network and finds any other drive, any other shares, and infects those drives too, and encrypts those data. We've had several of our customers have been hit where one of their PCs got ransomware and it wiped out their server because the PC had the server mounted and it encrypted everything. So if you have a backup drive that's mounted, which is the way Time Machine generally works, if you get hit with a ransom program, it will also attack any mounted drive. So that's in one way that Time Capsule is a little better because it only mounts the drive when you're actually doing the backup, and then it unmounts it when you're not backing up. So if there were a Mac-based ransomware, it couldn't attack your time capsule until it mounted. So you want to make sure you find them soon enough, rather than give the ransom program time to encrypt all your data. So the cost of overcoming ransomware is often much, much more than the ransom was, but frequently significantly less than trying to prevent the ransomware, because the biggest issue always tends to be the users. Someone clicking a link they shouldn't click, replying to an email. So, say you're a secretary in a city police department, and you get an email, from the police chief that says, "Here are the budget numbers you were looking for." Well, you're probably going to open it because it said it came from your chief. Don't. Many times there are ways to tell if an email is fake before you open it, and even though the return address could be correct, quite often the spelling and grammar in the message is wrong, things like that. There was an article that we just read recently where someone almost got caught by it. He was invited to judge a collegiate prize. What was it? It was outside his industry, so it was a math prize, and he was a chemist or something like that. So that was the first sort of tick against it. But everything in the message was real. It really came from the school that it said it came from. The link to click to download the ballot was actually being hosted by the school, so it wasn't going off to some malicious website. It was someone's account at the school had been compromised and was hosting a malicious page. And he almost clicked on it because everything in the message looked real. And he was emailing back and forth with the people about, "Where'd you get my name?" "Well, you're prominent in your field." "Well, why do you want a chemist to judge a math prize?" "Well, for diversity and all that." And it's very easy to trick even experienced users. So it's always hard to train people to not click on links, especially because you might be expecting a link, and that's part of the problem.
These are recommending that you go on to the 3 Equifax and the 2 services and freeze your account.
Right. So all the credit agencies have the option to do what's called freeze your account, freeze your credit account. They charge you for that, so there's legislation pending to make that free. And what it does is it stops anyone from applying for new credit in your name. It also stops you from applying for credit in your name. But you can, right. So if you don't plan on getting a loan for anything, you don't need a new car, you don't need a new house, things like that, then you can freeze your credit, which will block the bad guys from opening a new credit account in your name. And then you can unfreeze it when you do need to use it, freeze it again after you're done. But it can be a pain to do, and you have to do it each of the 3 agencies, and they each have their own different charge. And so we're hoping they're going to do, like the free credit report now, you get 1 report free a year. We're hoping they're going to add the credit freeze 1 or 2 a year for free. Charlie?
Yeah, I did that a couple of years ago because there was a spurious use of a credit card of mine, and also I think just this general free stuff was going on. To my recollection, so I did them too. And the other thing about this is that one of the agencies, Experian, what happened was a number of years ago there was a breach of our G&E stuff, and they gave you a 1-year membership with Experian.
That's a good, yeah.
The list is in the minutes from the last meeting, and I'm not sure just how this is going to work. Unfortunately, the new secretary does not have confidence in the old secretary. That's me. And so we used to have a deal where the monthly email to members before announcing the meeting, the general meeting, had a code, a password or whatever to link to the meeting minutes. And I never found out how to do that, and we decided that what would happen would be that when Steve sends out the monthly email through MailChimp to all of us saying, meetings coming up, that he would attach
And I
recent available.
I forgot to do that.
Yeah, that's fine. This is gonna take a little while to happen. I thought I saw it on the email for this meeting.
Not the password for the meeting on minutes.
All right, well, so in other words, we'll find out now it's possible that we'll talk about this in that room next week. Um, that we can come up with a way to make this just one of those things that you see on the bar, whatever, so that you don't have to.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Add it to our list. We can make a. I don't know if I want to make it a writable list to do a. What do you think is a future topic? Yeah, but we could put the future topic lists on there.
Just read only, and
Yeah, maybe a poll. Oh, a poll, not an ad. Maybe.
always, the link to the board is there if you want to email us with an idea for it. That's it.
George?
Yeah, when you talk about the, having your account taken, a number of years ago, many years ago, I bought a refrigerator at Best Buy, and I paid with the credit card, and within 2 weeks, okay, someone went into my social security account, took my social security, and had it transferred to a change of address in Chicago to a special account, some kind of a star account where anybody can come in and give a specific star number, take the money, and walk out.
Oh, these
So
are
it was
alphabetical, not
very
chronological.
strange thing. And my wife usually, within 24 hours, she knows when the money hits the bank. When it didn't hit the bank, she made a call right away, and they said, no, your account's been transferred. At that point, we called Social Security office. Social Security, well, you have to come in, take your number, et cetera, the whole thing. And this is a big city, in Lakeland. And it just went on and on. And I said, well, hey, look, I'm working, I can't come in just at any time. I'm on the phone the whole thing. No, I'm sorry. That's the only way it works.
And that's often what the bad guys do is they'll submit a change of address request to your bank, and then they get your new cards.
So I got so frustrated that I said, well, I was really frustrated. So I just called the senator's office. When it doesn't work, go in the regular chain. You start from the top and work down. I called the Senator Nelson's office. They got the information. The following morning, they called me at 9:30 and said, your account is taken care of. Within 24 hours, it was taken care of. They traced it to the bank. They traced it to the account, but not the person who did it. But I mean, the better you're frustrated with the way, especially during election year. Here I am, a Republican, and I changed to a Democrat really fast.
George, how did they go from a credit card transaction to getting into your social security account?
Well, I don't know. I really don't know. But it happened within the Best Buy chain.
Was it a Best Buy card?
No.
No.
Yeah, it was a Best Buy card.
So you had to give them your social when you filled out the credit card information. So that's, yep.
It was somewhere in the Best Buy chain that it happened.
Well, the Target breach was in the point of sale terminals. It wasn't in Target's computers. It was in the point of sale that they bought. It came pre-installed.
Hit my card, so it wasn't anybody around, but it was in the POS. Yeah.
One of the free services that is nice to sign up for is Credit Karma, and they have an app you can download, and they tie in with all the credit reporting agencies. And so, for one, you can get your credit score anytime you want. But they also will notify you if there's any new activity on your credit history. My son, Shirley, Matthew just paid off his car loan. So I got a congratulations, you paid off your loan. because I was co-signer on his car loan. Now my credit reporting will go up. And so if someone tries to open a credit card in your name, you'll get noticed, a notice of it. So you don't have to wait until you start getting bills months later. A lot of people like checking their accounts online all the time. And in fact, Shirley used to tease me for checking the bank account every day or two. And so I want to make sure there's nothing weird there. And one time I did catch something. I think it was after Rick's birthday. We went to the other Chinese restaurant. And like